Here are today's top stories from the Philippine News Agency. We begin with the Senate's call for more details on the Philippines' decision to temporarily accommodate a small group of Afghan refugees at the request of the United States. During the budget deliberations of the Department of Foreign Affairs, Senate President Francis Escudero says the budget hearings will allow for the clarification of the agreement. He says while the DFA holds the specific details of the deal, there is no allocation for it in the National Expenditure Program. He adds since the arrangement is temporary, the refugees are expected to return to their country of origin once their visa processing for U.S. entry is complete. The DFA recently confirmed that the U.S. government is supporting necessary services for the Afghan nationals during their temporary stay in the Philippines. However, the exact number of refugees remains unknown. Senator Francis Tolentino expressed support for the decision, citing the Philippines' respect for international obligations and humanitarian values. On the other hand, Senator Amy Marcos, chairperson of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, urged the Executive Department and the DFA to be more transparent about the details of the agreement. In other news, the government's free Wi-Fi program is getting a boost with an additional 3.6 billion pesos in funding to ensure its continued rollout across the country. The Department of Budget and Management approved the release of the additional funds to the Department of Information and Communications Technology to support the ongoing nationwide implementation of the Free Public Internet Access Program. According to DBM, the additional budget will benefit 13,462 access point sites nationwide to ensure that Filipinos have access to reliable internet services in public areas such as schools, libraries, parks, and transportation hubs. Budget Secretary Amina Pangandaman says it is also in line with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to advance digital transformation initiatives. The additional funds are sourced from the special account in the General Fund Free Public Internet Access Fund for the fiscal year 2024 and is on top of the 2.5 billion pesos allocated for the program this year. In his third State of the Nation address last month, the President said the free Wi-Fi program has so far served almost 10 million unique user devices in more than 13,000 places in the country. He also vowed to continue expanding the program to ensure that more Filipinos benefit from free internet access. To protect the public amid the possible spread of mpox, the Department of Health has asked the World Health Organization for access to smallpox vaccines. DOH Assistant Secretary Albert Domingo says scientific findings showed that smallpox vaccines can provide cross-protection against mpox. However, the Philippines has no supply of smallpox jabs, and most of these are being distributed in African countries with large numbers of mpox cases. Domingo says Manila has informed the WHO that it is ready to accept smallpox vaccines once the global strategy against mpox shifts. He adds the country has facilities used during the COVID-19 pandemic that can also store smallpox vaccines. The DOH reports 10 confirmed cases of mpox in the country. Common symptoms of mpox are a skin rash lasting 2 to 4 weeks, fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, low energy, and swollen lymph nodes. The virus can be transmitted through close and intimate contact with an infected person, contaminated materials like used clothes or utensils, or through infected animals. The DOH advises to use soap and water to kill the virus and to wear gloves when washing contaminated materials. The House of Representatives has approved on third and final reading a bill granting tax exemptions on the rewards of Filipino athletes and coaches. Lawmakers overwhelmingly voted to pass House Bill 10723, which seeks to amend the National Athletes and Coaches Benefits and Incentives Act. The bill will exempt Filipino athletes and their coaches from paying taxes on the incentives, bonuses, and other rewards they have received for winning in international competitions. It also covers donations given to athletes 1 year before the competition they are preparing for. House Speaker Martin Romualdez says Congress is working on various initiatives that will benefit Filipino athletes who brought pride and honor to the country. Meanwhile, the lower house also overwhelmingly approved House Bill 10524, seeking to ban the substitution of candidates who withdrew from the electoral race. The bill aims to remove withdrawal as a ground for substitution to prevent the mockery of the electoral system. It also includes permanent incapacity as an additional ground for substitution. Romualdez says this added condition ensures that only those who face the public during the campaign period will be the ones to serve the people should they be elected. Another measure passed by the House is House Bill 10699, which will make the internet cheaper and more accessible to all. Under the bill, telco companies will no longer have to pay the spectrum users fee charged by the government for using specific frequencies. It also enables the use and development of Wi-Fi technology and infrastructure. Navota's Representative Toby Tiangco, author of the bill, says the measure encourages and empowers small telco players to provide cheaper internet, especially in far-to-reach areas. The Department of Agriculture and hog industry stakeholders assure that safe and high-quality pork is available for sale and consumption amid the resurgence of African swine fever, or ASF. DA Assistant Secretary for Swine and Poultry Constante Palabrica says the Bureau of Animal Industry has tightened biosecurity in 12 areas in Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon to prevent the spread of ASF. Palabrica says their checkpoints ensure that swine are not passed around from infected areas to uninfected areas and vice versa. For his part, Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura Executive Director Jason Cainglet noted that consumers are afraid of eating pork due to the reported ASF cases among infected hogs. However, he says this is due to the government highlighting its stringent checkpoints. National Federation of Hog Farmers Chair Chester Warentan also assured there are adequate sources of safe pork products, adding that the resurgence of ASF in Batangas is an isolated instance. He also assures all pork products have passed the inspection of the National Meat Inspection Service. And that's the latest and the biggest stories on the PNA Headlines. For more news updates, visit our website pna.gov.ph or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The PNA Headlines is also streamed via the Celebicio Facebook page. You may also watch the PNA Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account and via the News and Information Bureau website under PNA News. I'm Bench Bondok. This is the PNA Headlines, bringing stories that unite the nation.